Guys, I'm going to share with you my view on this Bitcoin scenario and what the ideal plan would be for us to trade in such a scenario. What do we have here? Looking at the weekly chart, we can see that this order block was respected previously, right? And it was respected here. So it is no longer a valid order block for us to trade only if the price had fallen with low volume, which was not the case. So we are no longer going to look at this order block looking at the weekly chart. In other words, what do we notice here now? We notice that the price broke through this previous low. It is a valid bottom with a lot of liquidity, meaning the price captured liquidity below this region. So what can we expect here for Bitcoin? We can take the 4-hour chart and wait for a movement like this. For us to be able to buy, the breakout of this valid top here would be a shock. We call this in institutional analysis a flow alignment. If the price makes this movement on the 4-hour chart, then we will look for buys. If this happens, why? Because it has already captured liquidity below an important low without this flow confirmation. I won't do anything. It's the first step to seize selling opportunities. What do I want to see? I want to see the price correct at least 50% of the drop it had. Let's give an example here. There was, wasn't there? Let's give another one here. Look, let's give an example. Here 50% it would be around this region of 58,000. What would I like to see to sell? I would like to see the price reaching at least the hot region here, 62 of Fibonacci, and making a flow alignment on the 1-hour chart at minimum or 15 minutes. And then we take a selling opportunity on this pullback. Looking at a macro context, we have the following. We have a demand zone here that is very important, okay? We know that. Demand zones are created as follows. We had the rally, right? We had the rally, the strong upward movement. We had the base of the movement, which would be this accumulation, and we had a new rally. In other words, it is a valid demand zone, a strong demand zone, because the price created an inducement, which would be these lows here captured in this wick and initiated this upward movement. We plotted the volume profile within this range from the last impulse movement, and it landed exactly in our demand zone, which coincides with the 50% Fibonacci region. Before the demand zone, we have a valid FVG, a very important FVG, which the price approached but did not mitigate. So this downward movement that the price is making now, both in Bitcoin and altcoins, is a natural movement, mainly in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Some altcoins are suffering much more than Bitcoin and Ethereum because they are altcoins with a small market cap. The transaction volume, the trading volume is much lower. So what can we see in the price? We can also see the price wanting to mitigate this demand zone, which is here between $44,000 and $40,000. If the price reaches this region of $44,000, I will probably buy immediately without a flow alignment. The position you can look for here is the following. This would be a good opportunity, a purchase in the region of $42,500, $44,000, $43,900 within this demand zone. Because it is a demand zone that the volume profile confirms, before this region we have a valid FVG. So it is a very important region for the price to mitigate. If it's a possibility I'm talking about, if the price from the current price, the price made a previous low at 49,000. If from here the price starts to accumulate and form ascending bottoms, generate inducement liquidity and capture this inducement liquidity, then we might already start an upward movement from here. But I still don't rule out the possibility of the price coming to the 44 key region or within this FVG here, But we will keep an eye on the 4-hour chart to see if there is a flow alignment, because if a flow alignment happens here, we see a bullish shock, we can already look for a buying opportunity, as I am telling you. For the selling opportunity, we have to wait for a pullback, at least in the 50% region, which would be around 58, 59,000, 4,859, 1,000. But these are movements we need to wait for confirmation on, because the price is making an ugly move, you know. Now, if we are going to trade in the spot market or with minimal leverage, 2x, 3x, then we can look for some altcoins, even Bitcoin, and look for swing trade opportunities. However, there's no point in buying HE at market price just because it's very cheap like retailers do. There is no context for every position. It has to have a context. So this is what we need to pay attention to here, because this movement that was generated was not just in cryptocurrency. It was a movement that in fact started with the recession news. Then it happened in Japan, where the Japanese stock market started to fall desperately, triggering a circuit break. This movement, let's say globally, it's not just in cryptocurrency, yeah. Cryptocurrency was heavily affected, but international markets were also significantly impacted. So we don't know what might happen, which is why we need to trade. With entry confirmations and within the community, we were already expecting a downward movement, right? So much so that I shared this sale in Ethereum, and when I set the target at the BRL 2790 region, people thought I was crazy because Ethereum wasn't going to drop any further, because Ethereum was going to surpass its ATH, because Bitcoin was going to BRL 100,000. And in reality, the market doesn't work like that, right? That's why in institutional analysis, there's a saying, if you don't know where the liquidity is, then you are the liquidity. So looking at these charts, it was very obvious that the price would capture this bottom liquidity, because see how many touches, how much inducement was left here below this support. So we managed to ride a trade with approximately a 6-to-1 ratio, had a 3% stop loss and a 20% profit. With 20x leverage, we managed to make approximately 500%, 600% on this trade. I'm keeping an eye on some altcoins, okay? DOTI will probably present a very good, really good swing trade opportunity. I'm just going to wait for the confirmation because I want to see the market react. I want to see strength in the market before we buy. You understand? There's no point in selling. Now, only if there's a context of entry confirmation, because if you sell now and the market decides to reverse, you will be stopped out. Because I've seen this happen many times, the cryptocurrency market, so is like that, is it? Then it's better for us to wait for confirmations or create positions in the spot market. I have already created some positions in the spot market and I'm keeping an eye on buying DOTI. I will do a more detailed analysis of Ethereum and share it with the community. But there are some very good opportunities here, okay? I'm also accumulating more purchases in RLC. I'm waiting a bit on GRT, but it's also a very good buying opportunity. Litecoin as well, capturing liquidity here. Look, capturing liquidity from this trend line. So it's a very good opportunity to accumulate